Good morning, good afternoon, good evening to East Central Missouri and the world, and welcome to the James Strong Show podcast, podcast number 222. Thank you for joining us. Thank you for making us a part of your day. I appreciate it. This podcast was recorded on the morning of Saturday, May the 29th, from the James Strong Studio in Western St. Charles County. Those of us in the good old US of A have a 3-day weekend. I will not say, like some people say on radio, I can't believe they say this, Happy Memorial Day. Think about what you're saying, folks, when you say that. Memorial Day is to honor the war dead. It's not a day of celebration. Now, while most of us, me included, are going to take the 3-day weekend to have fun, visit with friends and family, do a few things, take the day off, etc., etc., it's not like Christmas or New Year or 4th of July, okay? It's to honor the war dead. And part of what I'm going to do on today's podcast, the essay part, the meat of the podcast, is going to kind of call to our attention something people have been saying to me for quite some time, and I really didn't buy it. But now I'm maybe buying it a little bit. Let's just say that, okay? The Volt Math podcast has said this for a long time. Others have said it too. But perhaps our freedoms are being eroded away little by little by little. And I'm going to give a couple examples. And not only am I going to give examples, but I'm going to give a recipe for success as far as what we can do, we, the collective we, absolutely everybody we can do to nip this in the bud, okay? So we're going to go ahead and talk about that, the freedoms, the cautions, etc. Facebook, social media, the Wuhan virus, our woke society, and defunding the police. All of those, believe it or not, have a lot to do with eroding our freedoms, okay? Now, maybe I'm becoming an out-of-touch old man. That could be. That could very well be. However, let's say it is. I am becoming an out-of-touch old man. Friends, there's a whole lot of us just like that, okay? And if we're going to be a society, we have to consider all opinions of all in society, right? So we'll get into that in just a little bit. A couple things I did want to mention, though. First of all, I want to give a Jaguar update. The 51 Jaguar Mark 7 that's being restored by me and my father and others. Real close to having that thing stripped down. Every time I say I'm real close to having it stripped down, there's a little bit more to be done. I stumble upon one more thing that has to be taken off, one more thing that has to be removed, et cetera, et cetera. But we're really about there now. The wiring harness has to come out. The drive shaft has to come out. I took a whole lot of little stuff off the other day that I didn't think had to be done. Plans are to crawl underneath that thing today and check out what else needs to come off. And sure enough, I may crawl underneath there and say, oh, yeah, I got to take off this, and that too. So, but we're getting closer. The wheels are off. The tires have been removed. They've been taken up to a facility to sandblast the wheels and paint the wheels. After that, I can buy tires with inner tubes because that's what those cars take, and we can then mount them on the car so it can be roll ready to the shop to have the engine rebuilt, sandblasting, and primered. But all that's going to take place soon, and the color of the car, opalescent blue. That was a special Jaguar color. That was the original color of the car back in 1951. So that I've made the decision to go back to the original color, opalescent blue. So there we are. Just when I'm done with the podcast, going back to the shop and working on the Jaguar, because even though this is Memorial Day weekend, end of May, the weather should be perfect. Today, not so much. Cloudy, overcast, high in the low 60s is all. So probably a good day to work inside of a shop. Not so much a good day to lounge by the pool or anything like that. One more note I wanted to make. And on this show, I've always liked to call to the attention of you, dear listener, things that you will not have heard anywhere else. And this gentleman, his name is James Clendenin, and he was a wine connoisseur. He basically brought wine back to Santa Barbara area, and he did this by avoiding the, as he calls them, fruit bombs and high alcohol wines. He hated those things. He was a big Burgundy guy, and he helped found and ran his winery, the All Bon Climate in Santa Barbara. And it was known for its Pinot Noir and Chardonnay, kind of lighter wine, not the big, heavy wines. I mean, if you like Pinot Noir, if you like Chardonnay, fine. But he kind of took, his goal was to take us away from the fruity wines, the 15.5% alcohol wines, and keep wines to what they should be, something paired with food and keeping the alcohol content down, because the less alcohol in a wine, the more you can drink before you get drunk. Think about it. And if the goal is to enjoy a bottle of wine, you don't want to be done with the bottle of wine and then become very loopy, okay? So Jim Clendenin did a good job of educating people on wine and making wines that were really, really wonderful and paired well with food. I mean, Emeril Lagasse used Jim Clendenin wines at his restaurants. He was the first one to feature them. So, and he was on all kinds of podcasts and that type of thing. So Jim Clendenin, rest in peace. So let's get to the crux of today's podcast, should we? And it has to do with just calling to the attention of some things that are going on here, and going on with our society, the way we're looking at things, and how our freedoms are becoming eroded. And first of all, this is not the first time this has happened, okay? So this has nothing to do with today's day. This is nothing that, okay, this starting today, this is happening. This has happened many times throughout our history, and we've been successful in nipping it in the bud most of the times. So here's the question. It has to do with misinformation. When does misinformation stop being misinformation on social media? Because that's where most people get their news, okay? Here's the answer. When the Democratic government authorities give them permission. Now, before you start saying, oh, here you go, Strong, you're getting political here. This is not political, okay? So I ask you, please, dear listeners, stay with me, because this is not a political podcast, okay? But the Democrats are in charge. Now, case in point, Facebook's decision to stop censoring some of their claims about the origin of COVID-19 on the same day that President Biden and his administration said they will investigate whether a Chinese lab may have been involved with the Wuhan virus, the COVID-19. Now, it's been clear to me for more than a year that the Wuhan Institute of Virology, which collects and tests coronaviruses, they deserve scrutiny over the emergence of the pandemic in Wuhan. Yet Facebook, way back in February, said it would expand its content moderation on the COVID-19 to false and debunked claims such as COVID is a man-made or manufactured virus. In other words, if you said that, they took off your post. They deleted you. They banned you if you said that COVID-19 was a man-made virus. Now, as long as Democratic opinion sneered at the lab leak theory, Facebook dutifully controlled it. But ideological bubbles have a way of bursting, and the circumstantial evidence, which has really been available for months, finally permeated in the insular world of progressive public health. Now, this prompted officials like Anthony Fauci to say more investigation is needed, while the White House issued an intelligent directives reflecting lower certainty of natural emergence. In other words, Facebook acted in lockstep with the government on this. Here's Facebook's actual quote on Wednesday. In light of ongoing investigations into the origin of COVID-19 and the consultation with public health experts, we will no longer remove the claim that COVID-19 is man-made or manufactured from our apps. They did this on Wednesday, the same day the Biden administration said the same thing. So for months, if you said, you know what, COVID was man-made, I think it came from a lab, bang, took you off because you're lying, you're spreading rumors, and you were banned. Not so much anymore because the administration says that may be the case. Now, this shift is better late than never, okay? But note the apparent implication. While a political or scientific claim is disfavored by government authorities, Facebook will limit its reach. When government reduces its hostility towards the idea, so will Facebook. YouTube's COVID-19 policy is the same, similar. The Center for Disease Control, the CDC, and Prevention is run by a political appointee and involving guidance influenced by political consideration. Now, YouTube, who's owned by Google, used this policy to remove a round table on virus discussions with scientists and Florida Governor Ron DeSantis. In other words, Republican Governor DeSantis and some scientists were just talking about, hey, could this be the case? YouTube pulled it. Well, not anymore, because the Biden administration says, look, this could be true. So YouTube and Twitter and Facebook, they say, yeah, okay, well, we'll go along with it then. Now, why are they doing this? And why does this spin smell like Democrat bashing? Well, here's the answer, okay? First of all, the latter. Why does this smell like Democrat bashing? Okay, the heads of Google, Facebook, Twitter, Silicon Valley in general, they lean left. And that's just a fact. That's just the truth. They trend more towards Democratic policies than Republican. So, I'm not Democrat bashing, but merely saying Silicon Valley thinks more like a Democrat. They think more like the Democratic Party. They do. That's just a fact. Now the former. In other words, why does this spin smell like Democrat bashing? Okay. Or why are they doing this? Why are the Silicon Valley people all of a sudden backing off? Okay. There's a reason. In fact, it's very simple. Google, Facebook, Twitter, etc. are under antitrust scrutiny by the Department of Justice. Now, this started under Trump, and Biden has not let up. And it could be, I think it is, that Silicon Valley is working toward appeasing the Democrats, offering to be a mouthpiece for their agenda in return for them backing off on antitrust laws aimed at them. Could that be the case? Do you think I'm wrong? If yes, consider this. Like it or not, Donald J. Trump is still the leader of the Republican Party. He's not allowed on social media. Now, when he was president and when he was in charge and when the Department of Justice reported to him, he was allowed on social media. As soon as he wasn't the president, as soon as he wasn't in charge anymore, they banned him. Is that to appease the Democrats? Because the Democrats now run the Department of Justice and they now run the investigation to whether or not throw antitrust laws onto Silicon Valley? Out of sight, out of mind? Think about it, okay? Now, Facebook has ended its ban on posting, saying that COVID-19 was man-made or manufactured. And this has been around for 19 months, this whole Wuhan virus thing. And I'll say Wuhan virus. I don't think it's being racial. But the Wall Street Journal reported on Sunday that 3 researchers from China's Wuhan Institute of Virology became sick enough on November 19th, and they sought hospital care. That was November 2019. In other words, this is where they worked, and they were the first ones to get sick. Okay? Now, why? Did Facebook all of a sudden decide that maybe this is true? Because there was a good chance that it always was. And like I said before, President Biden said on Wednesday, he ordered a U.S. intelligence inquiry into the origins of the virus. The White House has come under pressure to conduct its own investigation after China told the WHO that it considered Beijing's part of the investigation complete. And they called on efforts to trace the virus's origins to other countries. Now, you remember when that happened? The WHO said, hey, we're going to come in and investigate this lab. And they said, nope, you don't need to investigate it because we already have. Here's the findings. Go away.